Okay. Is this ever going to end? Has this ended all throughout? I am a kidnapping victim if my evidence is falsified. Okay, we're going to have a functioning legal system at all. Also, the problem is it's true that the monsters that did all of this to me are still at large. It is 2026. They kidnapped me in 2021 and wrongfully held me. There is no argument. It was a kidnapping. The men in Wake County who kidnapped me have got to be arrested right now. You cannot have Class A felons at large. It is instead 2026. You cannot not serve a felony warrant. Because they did in fact commit the crime, the Wake County Prosecutor's Office team that worked on my 2021 kidnapping and my 2017 kidnapping, that goes for the police involved, with law enforcement, they have to be arrested and forced to resign. They are unfit for office and they are Class A felons. Also, this is going to end. There is a restraining order against the men doing this to me now. For example, aiming that thing very hideously at my crotch as I am sleeping, leaning over, sitting in a chair. Okay? Because that is the only way I can sleep in my very nice, brand new house where I'm shouting at 4 o'clock in the morning because I am being gang raped, sexually abused because some idiot dump truck drivers. That is correct. Okay? Apparently there is a problem. We all know that with the cop pride. As it can be used as a tool of offending. Okay, we are in a different time and place, and then we are in whatever time and place we are in. Therefore, in law, preconceived or notions that apply, they do not apply here. There is a problem with corruption. You could say because of such and such, right now they were hiring for this. Police do stuff all the time, being human beings. You are a mentally retarded man, technically, all of you, including who did down at the courthouse. Technically, that is mentally retarded behavior. Is it doing something like, is it abnormal? And its comprehension is different. Okay, you're not allowed to hire that too. Like, I don't know who. It's off jury duty. Who is it? Yeah. Okay. Because you're looking right at it, Huda. Okay. It says the evidence is created by a man who is crazy and wanted to kidnap the attractive female. This is. I'm sorry I didn't believe you with that. Just say a cop could commit a crime. There are humans. They could and they did. They're people. There's no argument. The police is a problem also. Did not commit some crime in this too. And so it's a problem that you keep interacting with the person who committed a crime. Okay? These men have got to be arrested. They are Class A felons. You can't wrongfully arrest people is the problem. Knowingly, much less. You can't knowingly wrongfully arrest. This can't go on. That's why, and it is people who commit felony crimes. As far as just there's too much going on, and they really, really hurt people and hurt people if you do not arrest them. It's like Jessica's Law or Adam Walsh's Law and stuff like that. The fact that anyone who knows, because they don't want to do that and do anyone who knows Yeah, enough with Detective Pate runs the legal system. He looks like a dump truck driver. That man has like nothing going on. All this stuff is absolute nonsense, also. The man really committed crime in the first place. But you can't, it's Adam Walsh's law or something. Like, you're not allowed to not apply these laws also out of Huda. If you suspect child sexual abuse, you have to call the cops, stuff like that. If there's an arrest point, and the arrest point was when the man says, I fantasize about molesting children, kidnapping and RIPing and molesting children. Okay? And so therefore, and the police officer does not arrest the person because there's an arrest point. The arrest point, no, my mouth, Huda. What would my mouth be doing as far as swearing? Okay, well, we just know this after following me around. It would not be swearing. There would be no swearing because I'm not at a rock pot. It's not a venue for swearing whatsoever, ever. And there it would be appropriate. I'm at a rock concert with my friends. Holy shoot, it's that rock star. Yay. I'm not sure. Problem. It's the rock star. We made the tickets to go see. Yay. All right, so there would be nothing. If you were committing, that's correct also, because it's come up before. If the schizophrenic retarded man of death, we're not breaking every crime known to God and man. You weren't allowed to do any of it, and you did it anyway, and you were told by everyone, is another thing. I want my life back. What's left of it. It's going to require the jaws of life because a man found me attractive and originally wanted to steal another $1,500 from my father, which he could keep as court cost fees so that he could buy himself, the new dishwasher he wanted or something. Or go out in the evening. Pay his rent because I live in a better part of town than these men. Well, Lottie, flipping God, dude. I'm sorry. So you actually live in a house because these people don't. He is such a slithering monster. You have to investigate when people report crime over and over again to you. Also, which people report, Huda, you're not that great a man. Also, that is the weirdest schizophrenic ninny to ever crawl out of a sewer. These men that did this to me have to be taken into custody now. So you're requiring that we serve warrants for everybody who committed a felony. As to the highest felonies you can commit: kidnapping, attempted murder, knowing, malice. You have to go in for psych evaluation for things like mental disease or defect and personality disorders. They have to do a background check. It is not that interesting. You don't just, I have no idea what you're doing, but there's no such thing as it. No one referenced, you did not do that. You did not aid and abet in that. If at first you thought maybe that is that, very quickly in the way the human mind works, which you discuss all the time in court, I looked at it, so therefore I understood it. I mean, you could be the slowest man in the world or blind or something, and you would still understand at this point. So everybody else, it took 5 minutes, it took 20 minutes for some reason. But that means they're still looking at it. Do you just get more information by still staring at the same thing as to the amount of information you're going to get by looking at the thing? Well, you lady are stupid and not that observant. My intelligence is fine, yours is not. Yours is the schizophrenic son of Sam's that lives in a trailer in the Ozarks. Which, it was noticeable. Like, okay, well, where is this, why is the schizophrenic son of Sam that lives in a trailer in the Ozarks calling the shots? Where is the legal system and lawyers and things like that? The complete disregard for human decency all throughout, out of all these men. The other person is an American. We live in a house. We are not in the roughest strip club, the scariest hoe house in Texas, or the roughest one. I don't care if you want to bust the scariest hoe house in Texas. This has nothing to do with me, and I said no thank you to discussing that right now. Okay, bust the scariest hoe house in Texas. We walk into scariest hoe house in Texas sometimes, so it's okay because if we're a little bit rough or something, we're here. Okay. So the thing that looks like Mike Tyson can't talk, no. So when it got weird, it was weird. It wasn't me. Pardon me, Mr. Police Officer at my police station. Would you mind helping me? They have squeaky voices sometimes too. I think they're on steroids. Like Detective Pate. No, I didn't. Really, like his voice is squeaky and they're weird. No, I think Mike Tyson got punched in the head or his throat. There's ones, unless there's something else that you can use to get that really like. There's a giant veiny one that I was just like, I mean, it looks nice enough. There's something. One second he's like, he might be a professional bodybuilder. Yeah. The woman at the gym that's like our gym. Well, it's noticeable with women because it doesn't naturally necessarily go there, but like the professional bodybuilder woman at the gym. Yeah, it might not be steroids. I mean, she's probably a professional bodybuilder. She probably has. She's nice. She looks great. I mean, really, she is probably a professional bodybuilder. That's where she might be Gandhi. She might be gay. But I never had any problems with her or any of the professional bodybuilders. Not necessarily. She might. I mean, she's really we have. I mean, that's probably the professional bodybuilding team. But she has a, so you can do that without steroids. But well, because I was in the FBI office asking for help with this, which I do politely and appropriately. It's been a very long war, and I woke up to having the inside of my private area massaged outward. Really, what? Because I'm sleeping in a chair, leaning over. You need to get this in custody already. Oh, I'm a person, and I'm not. And this needs to quit. Okay. Well, it was the one time I was like in the FBI office. Would you please get Otis told? I can't survive another month of this. I'm not dying. You have to think about time management. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put up with being electrocuted and sexually assaulted with that by not being so like. Well, now I'm trying to engage the damn thing. So the police arrest it. I need this out of my life so I can have a normal life. You've already, this monster in Arkansas, who is the same group of men who kidnapped me in the first place. There's no such thing as this applies to. I don't know where law enforcement pride applies, that they do a good job and everything is, yeah, you're not being mugged by a criminal in the park. This isn't happening. Also, it's out of you. It's like a really creepy tool of offending. And like, it's really simple too. Like everything this guy says should have been debunked a long time ago, which you're required by law to do, which, that just takes that human error can happen because it's required by law. Well, there's lots of humans, and human error is a weird thing. So it's required by law that it occurs. I want to go for a walk or a jog. He wants to. So you are a morning person. I guess. So it's the rest of the human race. I need you out of my house. I'm sorry you felt the need to check on you again with that. That's a problem. That's human error. What could go wrong by giving a scanner to the police or something people can listen on cell phones with? Okay. You have dirty dump trucks, schizophrenic corrections workers going completely criminally evil. Detective Bank is being a very dirty dump truck. In that, if he has anything to do with it. Whose idea was it to who knew there was like a two-way mirror in the with a camera behind it in the jail cell, and then was doing it with them, which I had no idea. Because I mean, from my perspective, yeah, that's true too. Oh, who were you mistaken for a drug addict? That should not. This is human error. It's weird in there. I cannot. I don't know why. Okay, so you have no comprehension of why it would be weird in there to this extent, but it is. Apparently, a lot of people didn't. Therefore, they weren't quite recognizing. And we do have a lot of stuff going on about. He screams that we're supposed to hate Fox News. Fox can contribute to. Um, I think you're just watching like he screams over television. Dude, you're on the Ernest Goes to Prison channel, okay, on daytime TV kind of stuff. All of you. There's you didn't actually bother. And that's you're mind numbingly, and I'm an ordinary person with a good intelligence and education level. Like on my chart, it reads, quite good actually by natural, and nature and nurture. Oh, enough. That's correct. Like this is a lot, all of it. The fact that you got, and the fact we are out of, I mean, if this were known as like that, just I don't know what part of the country might have gotten into this as far as just, but the fact that you're out of a place that kind of bills itself as a seat of power, and you have men that are just you get beverages eating going on or something like this guy is just running around kidnapping people and everything else. It's in every court and legal system in Arkansas. Okay. Where is the man to arrest the man that's talking about doing that to children? It's extremely uncomfortable and awful. You could generate a slightly less attached to the schizophrenic googly of death that's 300 pounds and screaming on the Impact Brothers or something from a horror movie. So so you might not notice it as much. I think there was so therefore a man can start doing this to a woman. You need to take the body scanner away from these men. The fact that you are actually positive and you are not willing to back down just because it's the facts and it's important that there is actually widespread use of these devices, which is law enforcement tech they started passing out back in the day to via like Garmin. Okay, this is law enforcement Garmin, trucking and like shipping, which there's tons of. Or something. I'm not sure. Or there's just you can actually generate electrical impulse in the body. There's like lots of water in the body. I'm not sure. In that case, this technology that has in fact been around for the last 30 years, 35 years, needs to be understood completely by the public. So if you have sexual assault occurring via cell phone, the person who's sitting there, that's disgusting, but like eating her cake, and the poor blonde woman in the Matrix, in that awful, awful scene with the, what is it? I should know. I'm not sure I haven't had time to work on my cultural references peacefully. You eat up time like you owe me so much money for my time. I'm trying to ignore Ernest Goes to Prison, okay, over there. Forever. No, it's never going to end. You're going to have to get, you're in progress again because you're recording. This has got to end. This went on. This same thing with that. They've got stuff that, I mean, I don't know, it was probably crawling all over you all day and night because these men, which is Hogula, right, and Smee Hogula, who are the ones talking in the background. We're sitting there day and night stalking you. No, there's not a reason these men are in houses in Cary. If there's a sexual assault device, it can generate electrical current enough in the body or and can touch the human body. That's why stalking, to the amount of stalking you were doing, I looked at it was technically great because it's so incredibly bad. There's like degrees of stalking. You were so incredibly, you're not a peeping Tom, like you have no boundaries whatsoever. Everything is just a puddle of goop together. I'm very sorry I didn't do that in there. The attitude out of the people also who have no business whatsoever in the community after dark. Outside, no, you can tell these men have no business in the community and cannot be allowed until they buy a house in the community, and then they're not allowed, or an apartment or something, and then they're not allowed. That's correct. You can buy a $250,000 apartment in the community. And then you're beholden to the same laws as anybody else. Do you realize law enforcement has the lowest job requirement? Is correct. And education levels required as far as an employer in the community. It might seem like they do, but they obviously have no standards whatsoever. I mean, there is no law enforcement standards whatsoever. Like zero, zilch, and zip. These community corrections workers, which is great also, the jurisdiction, anyone in Carroll County that's correct, that is in a uniform, that is around, can in fact arrest Otis Toole, which made me wonder if the man hadn't wandered off with something and is it a security officer in his basement. He's a police officer now. Does that make sense? You're hiring men that have no college degrees. Police officers, the problem here is that police officers have never been required to have college degrees. It's like many other professions, it's not a requirement to have a college degree. They're supposed to train in the field and then get licensing and certifications, and keep things up to par. Because of that, but the thing is, you give these men access to like all this technology. You basically have like Nazi Germany or something. You are letting criminal males get access to all this stuff that they would have to be millionaires to buy. With 30 dump trucks is in, now he can scan the neighborhood and cops his gold. But they can't go in there because that's the jurisdiction of the other guy to go in there. That's his stuff in there. It's the state of North Carolina stuff or Arkansas, and you're not allowed to use it to break the law. Well, we're not breaking the law. Yes, I would say that. The Huda, it would say that. I'm not required to have a law to break either and be practicing law. Everything you've heard about that under television is not true because Huda, he is here, he has no fear, and he is really, really weird. You're very weird. My mama always said, I know you are, but what am I? No, literally, that's not in like human speech. You're like a person that is so diseased or defected, you aren't a person. Like you are literally not a man, you're an animal because you are so diseased and defected in some way. No one has ever done that with anything. You're right. He's like a, they're like, I don't, it's like an animal or something. It's a beast. It's like a demon, really. Except, I mean, there's no man in there whatsoever on any of them. What? It's completely insane. I interact with them here. They got the same disease or defect. It's probably a birds of a feather congregating. That is an incredibly dangerous animal. An incredibly dangerous animal. I don't think there's ever been a more evil animal. You need to test its IQ. You need to give it a full, competency test. Not the other guys that work in law enforcement that are now in here that did not require having a college degree to get in here. You don't actually, the problem too, like law enforcement, you're sitting in town security offices and law enforcement offices. Instead it's going to be like, being around the other football team members as far as personability, which I think they do okay with. But who are superior officers in this? It's like this dimly lit, murky world of men over there that don't arrest the other men, and I don't know what's in that office. You don't go in the office to check. Well, I can't go in the office. That's Detective Pate's office. Okay. And the superior officer, is there anywhere to report if the superior officer does something? Because he's certainly doing it here. Are we having... Yes, and the Wake County Prosecutor's Office said no to that. They feel that the woman was violating a probation office visit, Miss Beth. Huda is going to be a stickler for the law. The problem is the entire case was overturned, but due to corruption, they did not inform, I'll say, the victim, myself, and they did not inform. So the company over there, all law enforcement is in fact a public sector company, is a absolute mess, and it's incredibly dangerous. Well, some people, that's conservative. What, liking the Klan? I mean, I don't know. In the older generation, a little bit. Which is what it would have been in the first place. That's correct. Also, I mean, like, when I said, I think, well, that man has Klan associations, which, we don't have a lot, but if someone has gang affiliations in the Ozarks and is working as an assistant firefighter, which because everyone who is hired out of law enforcement works in law enforcement, I do rigorous training in the field. Okay, what's with what's with the attitude with me? Because I am not that much of a person. This is all complete. I mean, just absolute and complete corruption of the legal system. I'm not sure if you're so physically and mentally inclined to do, and then you just bounce around and pull it off until someone runs away from you in a bad neighborhood and calls the cops, or when you wandered over into something else, or wandered into something else. Which, I mean, at the point the crime occurs, yeah, let's go all the way in the first 5 minutes. Not me, yay. And then I just do this all the time. No, I mean, you would be a peeping Tom. The person is saying, no, no, no. Well, they want to hang out if you to hang out. The person is saying, Big Boo Boo's comprehension is handicapped. Is a problem. You won't address that at all. I don't care if he's part of the Dirty Dump Truck gang. The other dump truck said no. The other neck rolls and no neck said no. Where are the neck rolls and no necks? As far as we know, those don't do much of anything. And illegal. I'm really tired of being the guy that if you remove the wife beater with the cycle of domestic violence and just the screaming criminal insanity, see, that's a bad egg and it's illegal because in the cycles of domestic violence and stuff, which he's actually engaging in, which for some reason is a personality disorder, which involves physicality and what is brain damage or something of some sort. Which if it's of like the schizoid variety, or the schizophrenic variety. Um, Also, I mean, I'm not sure any kind of why is the person lying? Like, if you're lying, you're lying. Well, you sound crazy in death. Why is it about the lady? You have immediately the lady. This guy is so hit with arms back. I have to. Why don't you talk about your own stuff or your own case? The lady has nothing going on if you're actually a real person. Okay, if that's the case, you're a sneaky Pete. Okay, you're using law enforcement tech, which is like, NASA advanced, to sexually abuse women because you figured out that you can really heavy breathe on law enforcement tech. Which, I mean, as far as cop pride, the other why aren't the other men arresting Otis Toole that are in law enforcement? Well, that's that place. Usually, law enforcement is better than that. It's okay, but if something it happens, it's just come out before in the newspaper. That's correct. I think you're reading front page headlines. You're physically touching the other person, which the community, out of the man with no college degree that looks like a dump truck driver that's gone AWOL, that is not acting. No, you're not acting whatsoever. That's a wife beater logic also. You're suffering from schizoid affective disorder, which appears to be schizophrenia light also. Or something else. As far all of you. Everyone hooted down at the courthouses. Are there any other lawyers and judges that could take the case to look into it because it's a crime? Blurry for some reason, like the way schizophrenic crimes. I'm not entirely sure I understand the logic, but I do understand there's something going on with schizophrenia, like with the catatonic people or something. It damages a part of the brain where the person is like a sleepwalker or a bit of a coma patient. So you're sitting there booping along in your normal, and then your communication skills are abnormal. So the guy's kind of in he's kind of just bouncing along doing stuff, and then but I mean it's a so stuff can happen more where you're which you're getting carried away and the results are completely incoherent because there's breakage or something. But if it's sort of hardened over, then that's why schizoid affective disorders and schizophrenia disorders light, where actually people are really, really different in there, something weird, and they're big, dangerous, dirty men are very dangerous. They do stuff like this. I've heard it in Holocaust studies. Like you actually get something in there that seems like the one bouncing, the one that goes ooh, and I can't. I'm over here, really, yeah, and then I'm over here, and then What's good about to go ooh? That might have just fallen under the radar in this story, really, yeah. Because you have, I had there were 200 people that were taken for if you were doing training or something. This should go back to the training, which it did. Okay, here's law enforcement standards. You have none. These men have kidnapped a woman. You can tell. It says that's a schizophrenic. I'm law enforcement, and therefore I was just in court doing something with the man we arrested. So therefore, that's correct. Also, it's also we arrested, which does not mean Smee sits around with Hogula in this one also, since that's a corrections worker who's worked in corrections for a long time. Where is the judge is correct also. Anywhere in Arkansas. That's correct. I'm really sorry. That's probably why everybody can have schizophrenia or something, according to the schizophrenic. Because he actually notices too, there's more of whatever he's got. Yeah, he finds that other people with it. I agree. It's whatever the poor handicap guy's got, only in something that's walking and talking more that you can't tell. It's actually extremely dangerous. I don't know why on a bad day. But it's still good to do that in there. Like everybody else is sitting there. It's like the Huntington's chorea we're describing in a forward momentum man. That's correct. Also, I don't know what this is, but that is a dangerous disease or defect in that man. Also, he's busy like filling sewer pipes full of dead people. But I mean that he's raped and eaten for heaven's sakes, as badly as possible. He kept all him and his friends kept all those people as sex slaves because it was fun, and it is the most graphic language I have ever heard. He narrates every Grey's Anatomy word, which I was like noting that because actually it's kind of explicit. Right. Yeah, the actual words for the private areas are awful, really, and it very explicit. He narrates every he must say the most graphic words. Also, you're not allowed to use law enforcement tech to heavy breathe because it has in fact made you a quite slick. It's not nice, but I'm sorry, the little slick willy. You just made it a literal term. You're right. I guess that could be kind of icky or too explicit. Which you would have no ability to do. You're not giving these men a police station and then just letting them run loose. I wasn't aware we were because you're middle-aged men. That applies to the no-neck over there that nobody's ever had any trouble with. Who actually would get in trouble enough because for some reason this disease moves differently, very, and it gets away with things that these are the most disease and defected men ever. Actually, really, nobody's ever done all this. People like adult people, but if the person, it's not you're not committing a rape on you aren't a man. Well, you're supposed to be more enfranchised than that in law enforcement, but there's a bunch of men running around. You aren't committing a rape on a the strip or something. Or there's a well, it's a during the day kind of job. Like if you're out with a you know um or you're wherever somebody who works for Microsoft as a marketing and logistics guy is that's married with two children. It's the neutral. Maybe you're just observing the guy, as opposed to a people on the party street, the nightlife street, um, at 10:30 at night. So the police officer is going to be more. I get it. So you should know what this is. It's not like, and I mean, if somebody did that, are you going to cover that up? Okay. That person would be fired, wouldn't they? It's written in stone. The man raped somebody. It's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, there were 200. Uh, there's 250 men over there, that work for law enforcement. We know that's why a woman should have done something else otherwise. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it was yes a little bit in that guy's head. I have no idea. It would be a factual case. Law enforcement would never do that. That's why I don't want anyone going out in the evening. Okay. I'm not here to waste another day chatting with a monster I have to pay attention to. Okay, I just want this. That's the wife beater story or something. The cycle of domestic violence or sexual abuse is motivated to go right back to it. I remember that about perps at other times that were sexual abusers, and like apparently there is such a thing as a pedophile. Okay, I mean, yes, of course there's such a thing as a pedophile. This guy has so many co-occurring disorder issues. So in my mind as pedophiles, you have to be careful about hiring the schizoid affective, or just like a schizophrenic, only live. The schizophrenic, think of how the schizophrenic act. If the schizophrenic had motor functioning skills verbally, when does the schizoid affective they're calling you about ever say anything that isn't completely different, even though they managed to get the sentence structure out so that it wasn't in complete breakage that way. Like everybody else said one thing and then actively listened to what the schizoid affective said. It was extremely different. It was also ridiculously offending and open about it. And the schizoid affective active listening, like crime. And the kind of perp talked about, it was in fact completely open about offending. There might be lots of people with this, slightly, due to, so it's not even a disease or defect now, right? It is it's causing distress, and then it actually technically is a disease or defect. People with schizophrenia damage light, yeah, that are in big human bodies, which they can get into stuff on their own. Okay, they're just like more in the schizoid affective like stays. So this is a walking and talking, actually extremely diseased or defected person, which they're incredibly dangerous, actually, because they're actually pulling it off, and for some reason people don't arrest them. There's nothing going on in this story that is not open offending, open lying. Instead, we're arguing, which there's no argument there, that sexual abuse and domestic violence is okay. They make accomplices and accessories. There is a symptom, like various other schizophrenia symptoms. Things like the space aliens have landed. They wander off into so the word soup and salad is different, but it's just, there's no reason, like you're engaging in domestic violence. Their OCD tendencies is also correct. I noted on these people. That's correct. They lose humanity, like altogether, almost. There's other disorders that have that too. I see the one that they were strange. Okay, strange is what the guy that probably whatever Huda has, which is over there, he is what lights cats on fire in the trash can. Strange disorder. It's like an autism disorder, but it's what you just described again. It's actually really dangerous it also kind of retards growth, so that for some reason the man is like a 45-year-old. Oh, he's like Corey in there, for heaven's sake, on the corrections worker, but who has a normal, healthy looking face and body. But the man is like Corey. We talk to him all the time. Mm-hmm. You needed to be careful. There is actually something that this is what some of these men were actually hired. This one's come up before, because your law enforcement, security, and maintenance men, because this is technically a Tokyo. That would be like, because this job could be anything from you. It's like Duke Energy. You have engineers, and then you have everybody else, and then you have ditch diggers. So you're letting the everybody's wander off with technology. I don't know what is doing all this, Miss Casper, but it appears to be a schizophrenic man that is walking and talking. Apparently, schizoid affective is a different disease slightly, but it just appears to be an extremely brain damage. Like this man is you know, you're correct. You're like an animal, really. Yeah, he's like an alien or a monkey wearing pants. No, actually, like a complete monkey. And the monkey it's an absolutely evil and incredibly dangerous animal. Apparently, it wants to mate 24/7. Is he charging money? That's completely at to lunch. He's charging money to other men to come in and use this law enforcement tech because he can make, $300 a night doing so, which is enough money for all sorts of stuff you want to do. And there's actually crazy enough men that want to do this around, which appear to be like, if there's other men online with me, you can grab them and see if some of the neo Nazis might actually be like the M13s. Okay, I don't want to get shot outside of my house by don't molest kids this much. Well, I think it's natural to me. Um, I don't know, boo. I think that's like a boo, a neo-Nazi. Yeah, boo. I don't know. Probably. Also, I'm whiter than you. Or not. No, so is the other guy. They're Nazi, right? They're Nazi. I probably am whiter than you. Technically, I'm whiter than you. Well, I'm Southern, and I'm completely white. Okay. You're friends with most ladies. You've been running around with them, like, doing all this. Which none of it makes any sense whatsoever. Strange Zone says that. It runs around like a 9-year-old, even though it's 45 if it starts bouncing. Okay, that's why it's dangerous in a jail. Also, Strange doesn't stop sometimes in crime. It's come up before. That thing where, holy cross, um, it saws through a limb and then it doesn't know like what it was doing and is screaming about it. It could have you have co-occurring disorders. It comes into court. It's on the docket because which we know. That's correct. Also, like big scary guy. Oh, the big guy comes in on the docket, but he's got the rest of the stuff going on. Usually, almost universally, the normal. You understand? You are diseased or defected, and you're not supposed to lie about it in relation to treating the specific thing you did, which speaks for itself. Things like okay, so when you lose all comprehension almost in your crimes, like I have no idea. Like we were letting someone with strange work at the county jail, and you're just at the county jail. I know it's kind of a rodeo. Actually, he'd worked there for 2.5 years. Okay, I mean it's pretty much just the prisoners got too rough, and there was security cameras which he knew was turning into like a violent gang rape or something. Yeah, what? Like here's the point. This man is schizoid affective and has strange. Technically, I'm not sure. It saws through a limb, like nobody saws through a limb. Strange is still going sometimes, or something. Whatever like schizoid affective, like these men. All of these men, including the courthouse upstairs, are schizophrenic. Technically, are schizophrenic. That's correct. Actually, all of these people in this case, all the mean people's church over here and the perps are schizophrenic, and that's correct. Um, That's another disease or defect. You probably have like extra Y syndrome, which is dangerous. It might be causing squeaky male parts. It might be causing the steroid symptoms like the squeaky voice. It's like roid rage, and it causes mild retardation, and it's going to be something kind of Andre the Giant like. They're really rough in there. Like whatever's coming out of they're professional law enforcement, and we do actually do stuff. For example, these maps of the city and GPS a lot. We use a lot of GPS that this body scanner that's raping people to is attached to. Oh. You're a really stupid lady. You could have gotten a GPS before now, and then you'd be cooler. I've been quite short of funds, and I've been somewhat trapped in my hometown area trying to get this resolved, which I've done appropriately. The thing where the one guy is just shouting and jumping, and that means your wife beater. It means Armand's schizophrenic, which you knew kind of because it's been there all along. Yeah, and then you're kind of, if you're married to him like Lucina, Dostoevsky's the idiot or something. Really, yeah. Where he's actually an idiot. I mean, he's not actually an idiot. Oh, he's just actually handicapped. That's like strange and schizoid. That's what I just said. Well, that's definitely the stop point, and you've wandered into peeping calmness, Jim, and everybody said, well, goodness, since there's any boundaries whatsoever. Usually you don't get this far after your one RAPE. They want to know or a spree of them or something. Why? Once you figure out the other guys, too, like the thing where, well, that's why, boy, I've explained it 4 times, Armand. Why are you still doing this? I have to go to work and you have stuff to do. And so do you. No, and he is still he might be making noise and bouncing because he doesn't, his communication, there can be false positive. You're not a mind reader. That's why it's like, okay. No, nobody eats the dog. It's actually very embarrassing that story came out a ways into it, but we knew these people were totally respectful and seen pictures of their houses at that point. She just married the schizophrenic brother. Well, she did. He was a schizophrenic. He was schizoid affected. He had whatever these people have. So do the rest of them. The ones that, unfortunately, because you have here's all the things like human males do in the history books due to bad star alignments of crime and things like that. Cycles of bad behavior or dangerous behavior out of human males in different power positions or something, and then different positions. You're just not a non-accountable anything, but nor that's creepy also with your people. Like you need to calm down. Armand is just lying and he knows better. So it's the wife beater. He needs to stop. I think he's mad about something. He's like bouncing because he's mad. And then there might be slight communication issues that are different in males. I think he was jealous. Apparently, if you have a schizoid affected husband who is got domestic violence issues, very domestically violent, you need to really buffer that and not. Okay, so you need to move out. She was moving out and maybe flirting with a guy at work, who she ended up dating, I believe. And so he was upset. So they're going through a divorce, and which is you actually need to get the place to. So you have to separate the people so there's no emotional distress. Otherwise, you come home and the guy's eating your pet. Pretty much. If you're involved in a schizoid affective a marriage or relationship with another person. No, due to lack of coherence levels, strange is not and schizoid affective are very, very, very dangerous. Why everybody's going on along with this? Probably. You could probably find corruption where it's dangerous by following the schizoid affective and a pretty woman around a bad neighborhood or something else, really, or a child even. If you were to follow a 13-year-old around a bad neighborhood and schizoid affective disorder, which it should be easy to find because there's more disease or defect, they can behave themselves. You're not trying even slightly. Any of you. Well, you could find everything in the neighborhood that's allowing for why the 13-year-old had this happen to. Which it is, the 13-year-old is having, you lady, it's a 13-year-old female. There's not that much going on with the 13-year-old female. That's a problem too. We are gaining like schizoid affective day on everybody. Ernest is stupid, okay? And handicapped and is sitting there, watching daytime TV. It's a slightly handicapped Aunt Mary on the couch watching daytime TV with that. What? Which is dangerous because it's not coherent, and law is always like coherent. They would hire men for law enforcement, security, and maintenance roles and stuff that were handicapped because it did not matter. They're not supposed to actually be doing anything. And no, this is probably no wonder they punched you. No, it's just they're so some of the roles these men are in, it doesn't matter. They thought because they're just going to be sitting there punching a time clock at like a county jail, which might be dangerous. They're not. I'm not supposed to have the giant dangerous man that is going to sit there and do something really strange. Well, that's why we don't let them in my schools. That's got to go. That's a HUDA. Does that make sense? That is a very dangerous schizophrenic Aunt Mary at the hospital. Okay? That kind of schizophrenic, they call it a Mary because it's an it. Okay? Everybody calls that schizophrenic Aunt Mary of death behavior. It's a very dogmatic. Now, it's the boss little. You're in a deficit now because you did something that's bad to schizophrenic Aunt Mary. See, that thing is like, that is the most schizophrenic man in Texas. I mean, Huda, that doesn't really, that's a complete Huda. It's like a Huda if she had a plateau and the part of it, it turned out to be Ghost in the Shell or something, and the part of her brain that had any normal human behavior association whatsoever was gone, therefore making the it. I mean, it's just great. If you listen to him, he also has like no adult context. It's actually more, I wondered how old the man is. He's actually 64 years old. No, he's in Wayne County or something. Really? Yeah. Huda, I'm 40. That's another thing too. And Huda, like if we were two 12-year-olds, that's what it reminds me of a little bit. If it were a 12-year-old male, it's a little funny. Like talking, like you're talking to a 12-year-old. It has like, it's absolutely evil though. Yeah. A spoiled, rotten, thinks he's the Queen Mary. Yeah. He is the Empress of Romania, and this is what Empresses of Romania get to do. Which you could just, he has adult experience, though, which is not, but as far as like context, a 12-year-old, really, it's really male, But the thing is, it's like the contextual association. Like you're a 36-year-old male, okay? You normally have a sister. You interact with them. Maybe you're still going to church with your family and you're rejecting society a little bit. You like church with your family. You're actually just wanting to sleep in and watch the game. Really? Yeah. Well, there's nothing going on with church with your family, except if there is, and then you're doing something else. But stuff like church with the family. Oh, okay. I thought you were a religious group. They say. Yeah. That schizoid affective again. See, it's dangerous. It's so evil that it's almost like it's like Village of the Damned with the schizoid affective with that. Really, it's really a monster. It's coherence. Would you please just put the cheese with the mouse already, Huda? Well, I'm not allowed to put the cheese. You can't run that for prosecutor either. I don't know who wanted a company mole. It's very obvious someone wants a mole in there. You need to check when mole. Here's the FBI, the list of mole behaviors, because quite obviously every organized crime, everybody knows this. It's just common knowledge. Every organized crime, they're really not allowed to do it, but it wants to get. It's just logical. Get Jim higher down at the wharf if you want to move drugs past the move some drugs or move some stolen merchandise or something like that. Get Jim at shipping and receiving check for moving soaps, or get a guy in the bank if I need to get the door open. To say that about that could be a thing in there. I don't know what is in there, but you need to you could embarrass yourself by speaking impromptu. Um, I'm embarrassing myself because I'm stuck with the topic that you're doing. For example, you ate my dog. Lucina is now down in the court. Hi, I'm, Lucina and my husband ate my dog. People are like, ew, you're white trash or something. No, I work at Civic Guy for an American military family where I worked for 10 years at this point. Yeah, also. Or American military families, or probably two families. And no, we live in a perfectly nice house, and my husband's an alcoholic with schizoid affective disorder. And he was jealous. That's awful. The disembodied, it's schizophrenic. That man is actually extremely different in there. Really? Yeah. And he's actually sort of degenerate. They'll hit a plateau and he turns into like a bag lady. Really? Yeah. I mean, he's a walking and talking. He's a little catatonic, so he just sits on the couch and then they die a bit younger. They die younger on that disease or defect. So I'm the boss a little bit. First of all, the hierarchical dominance. Do you understand that? Well, I am the boss a little. You need to stand down. Do you understand that? You're breaking the law. Your people are not, NONEX are not known for being rocket scientists. That's too much going on. You need to go back to dump trucks. Maybe that man actually likes to say it. He's sexually motivated and he's bored, and that's why I saw him through a limit for impulsive rape. With strange, there's a lot of screaming and running like they're 12-year-olds on the playground and stuff. Really, yeah, and it doesn't really make any sense. Well, that girl could have been that. I don't know what. Well, she didn't really like you because I told her no. Okay, I did this. This is the same man who kidnapped me in Carroll County with all this stuff. He spent all day yesterday telling me, I'm going to literally rape the person all night. Isn't that great? Stars in his eyes. See, that is a completely out to lunch. Strange, you wonder, yeah, may the devil rest his soul, but really, yeah. Or schizoid affective. The Nazis all had schizoid affective. You can tell. They hired other people with schizoid affective. It's an extremely dangerous thing. When it hits that plateau or the person's born with it, it is actually the most dangerous mental disorder possible. I'm positive. I've sat there and observed this. The completely schizophrenic man. That man is so, they all describe a man. I'm not allowed to humanize myself because I'm the boss a little bit. Huda. Okay? The boss just does that there. Okay, Aunt Mary at the hospital is the most annoying person possible. What are Huda's tasks as the boss a little? He has to enforce on us, and then he gets to. Okay, Huda, are you sure this isn't wandering into sexual abuse? Because I'm calling the sexual harassment guy. Jealousy is a weird sensation. So he literally, nobody eats the dog where they are. Cannibals in the backwoods down the Amazon. No, literally, it was just a Jeffrey Dahmer day with the dog. Nice husband. Yeah, he was very. She said he was schizoaffective. No, for sure, he was diagnosed with it. They couldn't quite, which is just sort of high strung. They might have been slightly inbred. They were actually originally upper. His family was upper middle class. The inbred Costa Rican family is schizophrenic, son. It's not making okay husband. Apparently, he was nice and cute enough, and liked her. I mean, he had obviously we marry each other. I just heard this story before from my mother because talk all the time in the kitchen. Just maybe be careful. Oh, they're hard. We have trouble. Well, the problem is you're having trouble connecting because it's broken there. Okay, that's correct. But sometimes there's not quite something to connect to the same way. Yeah. And then it's like a vampire. In some cases, Strange might like it almost seems like it's like a changeling or something. Really, yeah. Like the human dot, and that's a transport for demons. It's an animal compared to a man on a bad day. Well, they were married with two children for many years. Because you didn't leave the children alone. I'm sure he wouldn't have eaten the child, but it just made him. She didn't. They were at his sister's house. And I was like, well, quite obviously, my children are quite different from the dog. The thing is, you realize how schizophrenic, like Armand will say that. You probably not. Armand says that. Is he still being threatening? No. It's just, have you noticed that like that story about Aunt Sabrina and Aunt Mary? Okay, I was right in the first place. That goes for whatever's down at the Wake County Prosecutor's Office. Mental disease or defects, congregations, and then running loose are extremely dangerous. The birds of a feather are not allowed to congregate. Who is just running loose doing something in alien species with human resources and stuff in there? I don't know if it makes in places. That's actually correct. Who does that in a day? Like, well, Sabrina, no, Sabrina just does not. It's word soup and salad. Do you understand that? We know what this disease or defect is. I don't care if you have it, and therefore you don't really want to address that. You're dogmatic and hierarchical stuff. You are not physically like it's like a physical OCD issue. Yeah. The entity is back. But that's also what does it say in just you reading, WebMD, you're reading Wikipedia. The alien species that is the Huda it that is still extremely dangerous. Notice it's like predatory. What must be reasonably successful? Um, if it gets to be like a dictator or something. I don't know what is successful about the Huda that out of like those kind of dictators come out of like wars and stuff. But the Huda it does can I'm not sure the stuff Huda it did. I'm not sure that's completely correct. Signs of like, I think sometimes the dictator, by the time you're a dictator, you're getting old, and they came out of a war. Or they came out of like World War II or a war. So you're kind of stuck with the guy with the, you know, that means too you have like a machine. You get a machine gun guy in it. You don't necessarily have the. You have like a general or something with other stuff. You because they're older, you might be like Alzheimer's or something. Yeah, you're getting some dementia in the dictator. And I mean, it's actually I don't know what he did to get to be. Might be some mileage on the car, but yeah, there also might be more schizoid affective tendencies. There's definitely been schizoid states in this. Do you have anything? I mean, I know you're committing a crime. Does this guy have anything going on in the headspace? Would you stop doing it in front of all the police while you're talking clearly enough to respond back as to like, yeah, that was a picture of a mouse and the cheese went on the mouse. That's great. That's IQ tests and things like that. That's correct. Also, I don't know where this conversation came up yesterday because it talks all the time. It follows me around. I'm going to get clean up and take a shower. I have tried to ignore it. I don't know, like an IQ test would be testing for. You could be stupid and say the wrong thing, lady. Why are you trying to play like Alexa Trivial Pursuit or something? Why are you shouting Trivial Pursuit at me? I don't want to like. Well, that's why you're not that smart. Like a really smart person would have watched it on TV and remember all of that. So you should reference that. You're not making any sense, but you are talking in enough that says you do have comprehension. No, they don't. Because Googly Bouts over there just shoot somebody in World War II. Really? Yeah. Like everybody else is sitting there talking about, and Googly Bouts just got a machine gun. It's just like, ooh, and bounces and shoots somebody. And everybody's like, Jim, that was a completely ordinary man you just shot, and that's murder. And since we were 4 years old, that would have always been, no, it was a guy. Well, then they go to the court. Okay. Well, they could be you too, lady. Okay, you'll feel defensive. Let's actively listen because the other person said you couldn't do that there. So, but since you were 4 years old, London Bridge is burning down, and then Bill Sykes get hung, and so does everybody else. No, it's usually if they murder another man, and it's a bad and shameful thing. Oh, well, I do that now. Maybe I could get in trouble for shooting that guy. Okay. Well, wouldn't you think that if you just shot somebody? The way it communicates. Well, that's why don't you call me, no, bless your heart, because you're actually handicapped. And you're not a child, you're a man. Okay, got it. It's just nobody would think to shoot the man there. You just have to take away the crazy man's machine gun. They gave it a machine gun because there's a war, and it's a, ooh, really. Are you saying that's not? It's not a time for a Joey Tribbiani noise. Ooh, oh, sorry. That might just be a noise. Instead, the guy is being like offensive. Does he feel defensive? I mean, there's no reason you're having an interaction with the other person. Really? He told me to do that there. Okay. Well, that's why he's doing it then. You asked. I don't know where the you can't tell someone to do that there department is. I'm trying to cut back my cigarette intake and get off of the cigarettes as completely as possible. Which people do by having a normal schedule, not sitting around in the John Wayne Gacy kidnapping day and night. Well, we're just not going to arrest these men because they are, employed. Well, we've had this before. We've always had corruption around here. You've had a loophole, and you're not the. There's like a missing a probation office could be a loophole. It doesn't mean we're trying to turn it into one. Yeah. What, when people who actually really did something do a year in the pen? Okay. Or when he's talking about when these people have managed, their parents are in on it. So the game of grab ass gets really weird. You've attracted more like schizophrenic people, okay? You do not get to do any of these things, and you're, and they're abusers. It's schizophrenic males process their abuse issues. It's like a 12-year-old again. Really? Yeah, that's really evil. It's hard to tell, the same as these. But there's loopholes in the law. That's the problem with your Department of Health and Human Services from Tennessee, which he always, I don't know if he, no, it's you could be one of them. You could be one of their girls or something. They kind of do the same thing, and that's a schizophrenic. That's a schizoid affective male or something. If you read their pamphlet, all social work in Tennessee is they're determined to get out and do something. Apparently, forward momentum and schizoid affective. It's so incoherent. Well, I'm the boss a little, and it's fun to band together with these other guys and run around and do stuff. Their parents are involved, or the state's involved. It's abuse and cuckoo. Dozier School, no, it is overall because the problem is the thing is a schizoid affective. It's technically an open grift business, like in movies. There's actually a business where it's it's an open grift business. It does not even try. You should read its pamphlet. It's hilarious. It's just but that's a loophole in the law when it's technically, I think, when somebody needs a high school with a fence around it for a little bit. Yes, and then whatever a girl interrupted was treating and stuff too. Which is a high school with a fence around it for they're all in for like life issues practically, and might have something going on. They probably don't like their mental health diagnoses. So your response is this where a man, they said, and that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be a pedophile. Yes. They said that when actually it's just a man thing and it's very natural. Is this the accepted? You can't hole up in the jail and actually act on this 24/7. And the police needed to show up earlier. Rain Man is a fourth grader in there that's an absolute monster. You need to get in here and arrest these men neighborhood pornography me out of the Carroll County Jail. I'm going to go to take a shower now, and I'll turn this, get cleaned up, and then I'm going to turn this back on later. Would you please, by the time would you get the SWAT team in here and arrest the man who is sexually assaulting me via electronic device that's far more advanced than this monster and cell phone would have access to if for some reason you have a schizophrenic cop. Oh, it's a schizoid affective cop, which means they walk and talk. They're like Jack from The Shining. There's a lot of it out there. He's completely, this is called like hitting a plateau or something, like Jack from The Shining. He's completely insane, and you need to address it. We have jurisdiction issues. Therefore, that's correct. To accuse a police officer of stuff, you have to go back to the county. The police officer, no, you don't, for cross site. You do not have to keep reporting it to the sheriff's departments that have committed crime against you and things like that. Also, the police have to take care of this now out of whoever's job it is to prosecute crime, since crime is actually occurred and is occurring. I think I need to drive over to my parents' house and you are not going to damage a vehicle the entire way and endanger everybody on the highway and myself and the roads. Knowing you're committing a crime, doing so. Well, I need the person brought in right away for disease or defect. Okay. Get off my crotch. I'm going to turn this off again, like I said.